What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dolphins versus the World. My name is Anthony. We are joined today by our producer, Joel. Chase is going to be in this episode. Do not worry. He's just finishing up with a meeting right now at work, but he's going to be joining us here on this episode. But first off, before we get into it, hope everyone's doing well. Before we get into this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out here with the algorithm and everything. So it's something free that you could do. Obviously, we're going to keep giving you guys good content, so we really appreciate the support. But let's get into this. So long time no see for some of us, or at least we don't see you, you see us. But man, I feel like so much has changed in the AFC, especially in these last 2 weeks. And obviously with the recent news about Joe Burrow that we just got about an hour ago, of Joe Burrow now being out for the rest of the season. I mean, the AFC playoff picture has really changed dramatically, I feel like, in the last couple of weeks. I mean, we went from losing a game against the Chiefs where most of us thought, hey, this game could be for the first seed. And since then, the Bengals, the Jets, and the Bills have all lost 2 games. One of the two, the Jets or the Bills, will lose 3 in a row since they play each other this week. And now with Deshaun Watson and Joe Burrow being out for the season, it really changes the complexion of what this AFC playoff picture could be. And now the Dolphins, your Miami Dolphins, sit here heading into the last 5 or the next 5 weeks of the season. We have 8 games left, and we could quite honestly clinch the AFC East by 4 p.m. 1 month from today on December 17th after we play the Jets. And it's just crazy to say that out loud, the fact that we could head into those last 3 games really just fighting for, 4, 3, 2, or 1 seed, which is just an amazing place to be. On top of that, you add in the fact that we have Hard Knocks coming up, which I'm super excited about selfishly as a fan, just to be able to see the behind the scenes of our team, see what McDaniel, Tua are like, what Fangio's like, if there is a lot of him in there. But I know that it's kind of a controversial topic because there are people who hate it. There's definitely a lot of people on the team that are not fans of it. But me selfishly as a fan, I am very, very excited to watch Hard Knocks. And speaking of Chase, here we go. We have Chase on here. I'm going to switch you over, man. How are you doing? I've yet to see you. How are you doing, man? It's good to see you.
First off, thank you for getting started here. My apologies for
a
bit late here, but I'm doing well. Let me tell you, I know we don't have too long here, but I'm excited to talk about the rest of the landscape because I don't know if there's been a team maybe outside the Steelers or the Ravens that's had a better week and a half here than the Miami Dolphins, truth be told. It is all coming up. Dolphins, this is crazy. I mean, the path is clearing up here for us. It's awesome to see for the Dolphins. Brutal for these other teams and players. Never room for injury or anything like that. But the chips fall where they are. But wow, the path looks clear for the Dolphins. I'm not sure if you've talked about that yet.
No, yeah, I actually just mentioned into it, and that was a perfect, kind of segue. You just came in swinging, man. I love it. You came in and you were like, anyway. No, yeah, I just mentioned that, Chase. I just said how, I feel like even though we haven't played, I mean, could there have been a bigger shift or maybe effect or I don't know the proper word for it, but in the last 2 weeks in the AFC, I mean, you look at the Jets, Bills, and Bengals losing 2 games in a row. One of the two, the Jets or the Bills, is going to lose 3 in a row because they play each other this week. Joe Burrow's out for the season. Deshaun Watson's out for the season. Somehow the Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-3. They might be the worst 6-3 team ever. The Texans look awesome. Yeah. So it's crazy. And we sit here, Chase, heading into these next 5 games saying that 1 month from today, at 4 p.m. Eastern time, after we play the Jets in Miami on December 17th, we could clinch the AFC East. If we win the next 5 games, and obviously if we win the next 5, the Jets lose 2. And if the Bills lose 2, which their schedule looks brutal, I mean, they're 5-5 and they haven't even played the tough teams. We could be sitting here heading into those last 3 weeks, simply just fighting for, playoff seeding as far as 1, 2, 3, or 4, not actually getting into the playoffs. So it's a pretty fantastic time for Dolphin fans, but obviously they got to put in the work now, right? So we shall see what happens. But I mean, it's there for the taking. It is there for the taking. Now it's just up to them.
And what's the craziest thing is I was texting with some of my other friends who we've all Dolphin fans. It's like, here we are again. The Dolphins control their own destiny. They need to win X amount of games. They can do it all on themselves. Like, here we are in the spot again that we are in every year, a lot earlier this year than normal. But wow, it's just honestly crazy. The Burrow news is unbelievable. I thought that that was a team that you did not want to see in the first round. So that's just massive equity for the rest of the AFC that they're, I think you could eliminate them. I don't see how they get in, or if they do get in, how they win a playoff game with Jake Browning. I don't think he's very good, but yeah, and then the Bills are just, I don't know what's going on. I'm not a Ken Dorsey fan or anything like that, but what was his crime? Brian Daboll leaves, who's like the best offensive coordinator they've ever had, and he basically doesn't skip a beat. The EPA hasn't dropped off. EPA per play hasn't dropped off or anything. His crime is that Josh Allen is throwing turnovers like they're free samples at Publix here. I don't know what Ken Dorsey's fault is. I think this is McDermott here. I think this is a desperate move from Sean McDermott to keep his job that I don't know is going to work out. I don't think firing Ken Dorsey is going to turn the Bills season around.
Hey man, it's like, I'm careful whenever I talk about the Bills because, obviously we got our asses handed to us by them. However, I agree with you. And I think Ken Dorsey's crime is the same crime with any coordinator who is calling plays for an elite QB who never gets any blame. You look at the Justin Herberts, you look at the not Joe Burrows, because he, other than injury, has been great, but the Josh Allens, it's like, at a certain point, we have to, like, I don't know, a bunch of people, when they talk about Josh Allen, and I'd mentioned it before the season, I said, like, there's not that much talent on the team. But at the same time, can we stop acting like he's throwing to like JV high schoolers? Like, he has he has good players, and like, it's just him trying too hard. And, maybe the writing for Ken Dorsey was on the wall.
To be honest with you.
What?
I think he has an injury too. I think that
we know. Yeah, well, he certainly is dealing with something because he just hasn't been himself. But I think that just between the distractions with, letting go of Leslie Frazier, and then there's Stephon Diggs, and then, they played their Super Bowl in week 4 when they played the Dolphins, and it's like, like, there's just a lot of, they seem like a just like I don't even know. They're like a stick of dynamite that's just going to explode at any time.
Yeah, really
and it's either going to be a beautiful firework, or it's going to destroy a bridge, or so one or the other. But they are a stick of dynamite. And again, you can say what you want about the Dolphins, and certainly I wish we would have beaten better teams. But the Bills are 5-5, and they have yet to even play the Eagles and Chiefs, and both of those games are in Philadelphia and in Kansas City. I don't see them winning. They might not even win this week, if I'm being completely honest with you. New offensive coordinator, Jets defense, for my money, is top 3. But if they lose 2 more games, it's over for them. Like, if the Dolphins win the next 5 games, which we should, and the Bills lose 2 of their next 4 because they have a bye week instead of 5 games, then they're out. Like, they can't win the AFC East. And I guess because of the Joe Burrow injury and the Deshaun Watson, maybe they slide in as a 6 or 7 seed. But yeah, they're just, I'll be interested to see what happens there. But anyway,
real quick, the only other thing I want to say about the Bills, and I was talking with my friends, this would be, I think, the worst nightmare scenario. I don't even know why my mind goes to this, but the worst case scenario for the Dolphins would be that we secure a playoff spot, like you said, handily before the last game of the season. The Bills need that game to go in. We win the game. We're the 2 seed, whatever. If we lose, then we have to play the Bills again. We lose to the Bills, and then we play them a 3rd time, and then they beat us again. I don't think I could handle that. As a Dolphins fan, that would be just, I don't even know what to say. I don't know if we could recover for that as a fan base. That'd be tough.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. I think that
So much to happen between now and then.
I'm curious to see, like, obviously we know like things can change. I would say if there's going to be a seventh seed, it'll probably be like the Texans.
So CJ Stroud is second in yards in the NFL.
He looks incredible, man.
It's unbelievable, unbelievable how good he looks.
But anyway, with the Dolphins, I mean, hey, we got 5 games coming up. We're getting healthier. A-Chain's going to be back. A-Chan. I don't know why people are surprised by that. Like, I've seen a lot of people that are like, man, I can't believe he's going to be. I was like, he said himself, I didn't need to go on IR, But anyway, we're getting healthier. This defense, I'm super excited about because I think they're just ready to take off in the second half of the season. So we can get into the matchup. I'll hand the reins over to you as far as, piloting this ship for the rest of the podcast, but we can get into this Raiders game because there's not really, for my money, there's not really anything crazy to talk about for this matchup, but I'll let you take it over. I'll pull up the injury report too while you're at it.
No, yeah, I mean, I'll get into it here, but yeah, I mean, I think when you kind of look at this game, it's important to kind of look at the big picture with both teams. But starting with the Dolphins, I mean, pretty much like at this point in the year for every team, you have enough data on the teams to know what they are. And the problem with the Dolphins, which is, I don't know, it's a unique problem to have, is they had a historic performance against the Broncos, like unheard of stuff. And those will skew the numbers and everything. So it's tough to look at it. But I think you kind of almost like at this point have to like just throw the game out because the Broncos are clearly way better than that. And the Dolphins offense is not going to score 70 points a game. And what's interesting to me is like, is this still a 30-point a game offense? And I think it definitely is at home, but it hasn't traveled as well. So I don't know. I think just kind of looking at the Dolphins as a whole, I think this is what we were thinking about before the season. This is a defense. Like me and you were thinking that this defense is going to be top 10, maybe pushing top 5. And then this offense is top 5. I think you could safely say that. I don't know if it's the number 1 offense just because of it doesn't look the same on the road.
Right.
I'm curious your thoughts. Do you think it's the best offense just before we get into the matchup specifically? Or do you think that, and where do you put where do you rank the offense and defense?
Yeah, I agree with you. This is going to sound like controversial, but I don't believe the Dolphins offense is the best. I believe if it's not 1, it's 2 or 3. Like I do believe they're a top 3. And I did ask this question. I think I asked I brought up the question after the Chiefs game with you of like, I'm curious moving forward in these next 5 games because we're going to see the Dolphins play good teams at home now and bad teams away, where the first half was flipped. I'm curious to see my theory. So my hypothesis on this, going back to 9th grade literature English class, my hypothesis on this, or I guess that'd be I don't know. You know what I mean? My hypothesis is the Dolphins are a bad road team, not bad against good teams, because to me, all of the issues that I've seen when they've played good teams have not come because they're just getting out dominated, at least comparatively when you look at like with the injuries they've had. Because I said this against the especially against the Eagles. The Bills game, I guess you could say like just in every facet, but also that is a division game. But against the Eagles, I'm not sure what people expected. Xavier Howard didn't play. Jalen wasn't there. Your whole left side of your offensive line wasn't playing. But I think the bigger issue goes back to the offense. When we are on the road, they're not the same because they don't have all the motions and all of the, they say cheat motions, whatever you want to call them. But, I'm curious to see how McDaniel has adapted. But I also think now with this defense, we're going to head into the next part of the season and we don't need the best offense. We don't, because I believe this defense is going to, I think right now the defense already is top 10. It won't show it on the stats because of the early season struggles. But, I think that this offense certainly needs to play better on the road. But I think that with the defense kind of helping out more, I don't think there'll be as much pressure on the offense to perform well.
Yeah, and I think that's honestly possibly exactly what it is. It's difficult to get plays in on the road. The communication needs to be quicker on the road and everything, and they're struggling with that. This is such an intricate offense that it relies on timing, and then if any small thing of timing is off, the rest of the play and other plays are going to spiral from that. So yeah, I mean, look, you go to two hard places to play. Germany, I think it's pretty difficult to play. I mean, look at the Colts Patriots game last week. That didn't even look like an NFL game. And then,
yeah, man.
Oh God.
Jeez.
And then the Eagles, everyone knows how hard it is to play in Philly. So yeah, I mean, we'll keep an eye out. But I mean, the Dolphins are getting healthy here. And other teams aren't. They were hurt to start the year, but we'll see. From what happens here. And then I just got a notification. Mark Andrews is already done for the year. I think that was known. But yeah, fractured fibia. An ankle ligament injury
with the hip drop tackle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so let's get right into the matchup here. I think when you're looking at this matchup, the first thing you got to look at obviously is the newfound life the Raiders have had under their new head coach. It's Antonio Pierce, correct? I just don't want to mess.
Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's.
Yeah. Credit to him. I mean, look, this was a team that before the season I thought was a sneaky candidate to be the worst team in the NFL. I mean, they got so many problems, and Jimmy Garoppolo isn't the guy. But then you switch to Aiden O'Connell. I don't think he's an upgrade over Garoppolo. But this team seems to have really hated Josh McDaniels. Like, I don't know if there's a team ever that's been this excited for their coach to be fired. I mean, the smoking the victory cigars after beating the Tommy DeVito-led New York Giants was not something I had any team doing on my my bingo card this year. But my God, they hated. I think that was just they wanted McDaniels out. But yeah, I mean, what can you say about this team? These last 2 weeks, like they have newfound life, but against Zach Wilson and Tommy DeVito, like, can we even take anything away from those games? Like, what is this team? And the interesting thing, I was listening to a podcast and just for a guest they had on, and it was a local Vegas show. And then all of a sudden they just started talking about the Raiders. I didn't even know they were going to. And they kind of were just like, look, this is a game the Raiders can win. And they were like, Antonio Pierce could get the head coaching job. I think this is a big time reality check game for them. You're not going against Zach Wilson and Tommy DeVito. And Aiden O'Connell has not been asked to do anything. He's not been asked to score. This game, he's going to have to go score for score with the Miami Dolphins offense. I don't see how that's possible. Sorry to break that to anyone. I think we're on the same page as well here. I don't see how this game is going to be close.
No, yeah, I knew that, it was going to be a little quicker as far as we weren't really going to get time, all three of us, to discuss the matchup ahead of it. So I sent like a voice memo to you guys yesterday. And, maybe I just need to change who I follow or change who's on my feed, because I know you, I don't know if Joel had responded, but I know you said like you hadn't gotten this impression. But I've seen a lot of people, especially in the national media, kind of riding that Raiders bandwagon. And I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I don't need to like break down the offense and break down the defense. Like, I agree with you. This is one of those games where I'm kind of getting annoyed with it because, like, I think because the Dolphins haven't played, we've forgotten who they are. The Dolphins are the best home team. We were 18-2 in our last 20 games at home. The only two games we lost were with Skylar Thompson in his first NFL start and Tua when he got concussed at halftime against the Green Bay Packers. We are sensational at home. We score 43.5 points per game at home. And I understand there was that 70-point game. But even without it, you look at the fact that we beat we scored 31 against the Patriots, who play us well every time. We scored 31 against the Giants, who teams have struggled with. And then we scored 42 against the Panthers, which only one other team did that, and that was the Lions. So we are a very, very good home team. And I look at this matchup and I say on both sides of the ball, I don't understand what the panic is. Okay. Aiden O'Connell and this Raiders offense are not like, have you watched with your own eyes this Dolphins defense the last few weeks? They've been sensational. And I know that, yes, what happened with the Eagles happened, but in the last 5 games, they're allowing 17 points a game. And the only game that was bad was the Eagles game. And you didn't have X or Jalen against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Our defense is very good. They're getting way better. Aiden O'Connell does not scare me. Devontae Adams, I've said for many years, he's a great wide receiver. He's not a great weapon. And if he's the only guy, you're screwed because he's a finesse route runner. He's not a, oh my God, you better double. No, like he'll have a plan. Josh Jacobs obviously is a threat, which if that's all you're concerned about, then okay. And that's the best part of our defense. And then on offense, what am I supposed to be worried about? What? I know Max Crosby is like an MVP level defensive player, but we've seen with the Dolphins, their issue is not against elite pass rushers. Their issue is when you have a collective unit of 4 guys that can get after Tua and you can drop 7 to deal with all the crazy mother effers that we have, then you're going to have success. That's why I worry about the Jets, or I worry about the Bills, but teams like that. But the Raiders are not that. It's Max Crosby you have to account for. And then in the secondary, I'm just letting everyone know, prepare. If Tyreek Hill has less than 150 yards, I will be stunned because they don't have the horses to deal with these guys. They don't. And I think that we're a different team at home. And again, I don't need to break it down any more than that. McDaniel against Antonio Pierce, Tua versus that defense. I don't need to break it down. If you literally just take the averages, which is what my score prediction is, we're going to win by multiple scores. If you literally just take the averages of how they play away and how we play at home, and you don't even factor in the bye week and the extra preparation and stuff like that, we're going to win by like 20 points. So I'm not panicking at all about this game. I'm excited to watch our team play, and I expect a dominant win.
Yeah, and then I think this is. Do you know what the game he started was? That wasn't the last 2. O'Connell. I can't remember what game it was.
I'm gonna look it up.
I was if it was home or away because the last 2 games were at home. So it's another.
So he played against the Chargers for October 1st. So that was, and he threw for 238 yards, no touchdowns, a pick. He played against the Bears. He threw for a whopping, he had 75 yards passing. I don't know if he played the whole game. And then against the Giants, he threw for 209. And against the Jets, he threw for 153. So, he's not going out there. He's played 4 games and he's thrown 675 yards. So,
yeah. And then I think, and we'll kind of just transition to the keys here while I get going here. I think the story of the game, is just run the ball. Yeah, we both have it here. Like their rush defense is the 3rd worst in the NFL, behind the Broncos, whose rush defense is so bad because they played the Dolphins and got around 70 on them. So they're probably not the worst rush defense. And then the Bengals, who I am honestly stunned to see them there, but I couldn't tell you what that's all about. But yeah, this is a terrible, terrible, terrible rush defense. And you're getting Devon Achane back. I would not be shocked if he goes for 200 yards. I think he's what this offense has been missing here. We'll see, but he was electric, unbelievable when he was playing. I have another take here. I think he could, if he doesn't get hurt again, I think he's going to finish the season with the most rushing yards. He's currently 250 and change behind Christian McCaffrey. He could get 250 this game. He was doing ungodly stuff. And then I think it's only just going to get better from here because, again, we're healthier. We'll see. And then next I have just get pressure on Aiden O'Connell. He is, again, a rookie. He's playing on the road for probably this is his first true road game in a tough environment. Not to discount anything in Chicago. But I don't think their fans have, very much optimism for their teams and believe they're going to go win every game. So they're not as excited as the Dolphins fans are. You could disrupt this guy. Like, this is also a new OC. Like, these are guys who have not done this before. Like, it's not going to take much to throw these guys off rhythm. But yeah, and then lastly, stay healthy. This is not the type of game here. Like last night, if anyone was watching, Odell Beckham stayed in the game when the game was completely out of reach and Jake Browning's at quarterback. And what happens? Odell Beckham gets hurt after Mark Andrews is already done for the year. If something like that were to happen to the Dolphins, like our second receiver, Waddle, or anyone of matter gets hurt when in this game, and it's not like a game that comes down to the wire, that's inexcusable. Like, you cannot have guys getting hurt against the Las Vegas Raiders in the middle of November. Like, stay healthy by all means necessary, guys. Once this game's out of reach, which I don't see how this game's gonna be close, man. I really don't. Like, this is not a good football team, and the Dolphins are a good football team. And then when they've punched down in class, they have looked like world beaters, like the best team on planet Earth. And I expect them to do that again this week. I just think this is going to be a dominating performance again. But what's going to happen? We're not going to get any credit for it because it's the Raiders. Even though if the Raiders win somehow, they'll be like, well, the Raiders all of a sudden, they're this great team, you know. They just needed Josh McDaniels gone, but we won't get any credit when we win. So go out, handle business these next 5 games, and go win the division, man. I mean, that'd be awesome.
Right. Yeah, man, we agree on the first one, so I don't really need to touch on that more because I think we both look at that matchup with Devon Achane and say, look out for, if you're the Raiders, of what's going to happen there. You know, I think the second one, and this is something that especially is going to be a big factor for the Dolphins, not necessarily at home. I'll explain why I have it at home, but the Dolphins' red zone percentage is the best in the NFL right now at 75%. At home, it's 83%, and away, it's 64%. So certainly on the road, we're going to need to get that higher. But at home, you are a phenomenal red zone team. And I think that this is one of those games where, hey, if you go out, you take care of business early, you go out the first 2 or 3 drives, you convert on 2 of those red zones, you're up 14-0, or, you know, you're able to go up, you know, 14-3 or something. This game's going to be over if you're able to do that. So for me, winning in the red zone, when they get down there, I'm trying to look right now. The Raiders currently, let's see, the Las Vegas Raiders have a 50% red zone efficiency this year. 50 at home, 50 away. In the last 3 games, in the last 3 games, they have an 83% efficiency. So they're about like a 500 team, you know, maybe a little better because of the recent burst of energy, I guess, from these guys with Antonio Pierce. But yeah, certainly need to win in the red zone. And then lastly, slowing down Josh Jacobs. You know, I think that is going to be huge for the Dolphins, because I've mentioned this about Davante Adams. You know, Davante Adams is a good wide receiver, but with the guys that we have in the secondary, I certainly trust our whole entire secondary versus their wide receiving core. And I look at it and I say, well, you know, if the Raiders are able to run the ball, I don't think they will, because our defense, at least our defensive line, has shown that they are very good against the run. In fact, I think the Dolphins have one of the top, trying to see, NFL defense. Let's see. I'm trying to see like what our stats are for our rush defense. The Dolphins currently have the 4th best rush defense in the NFL. So the Dolphins right now, rush yards allowed, we've allowed 1.3 thousand, which is tied with the Cleveland Browns. So we have a really good run defense. So I am very, very excited to, you know, see what they're able to do against a running back like Josh Jacobs, who recently just led the NFL in rushing last year. But I think that certainly if you are able to slow down Josh Jacobs, you're able to convert in the red zone, and you're able to run the ball so that the Raiders aren't getting many opportunities to get the ball, then I think you're going to dominate this game. And I'm going to pull up next. I'm going to pull up next. Where is it? Our score prediction. So I'll start off with the score prediction. Again, I took the averages of these two games. I took the averages, and the Dolphins right now at home are scoring 43.5 points per game, which is, I mean, if you think about that, I know it's really skewed because of that 70-point game, but we're scoring 43 and a half points per game at home. We're allowing 18.6, which even that is actually, if you take away, I'm trying to do the math real quick right now. If you take away the 2 pick sixes from the Giants and Panthers game, and then you take away the punt return touchdown, I think that happened against, who was the team it happened against? I want to say it was the Broncos. The Dolphins are actually only allowing like 13.4 points per game at home. Okay. So if you literally just take the averages of what we're scoring, what we're allowing at home versus what the Raiders are scoring versus what the Raiders are allowing on the road, then literally the average is we win 35-17. So it could be even bigger than that. Last time we played off a bye week with McDaniel was against the Texans last year. And I think we were up 30-0 at halftime against the Texans. We ended up finishing 30-15. It looked closer than it really was. But I mean, we just dominated the Texans off the bye week. So yeah, I'm expecting this to be a big win for the Dolphins, get out to an early lead, and then just kind of command it the whole entire way. And then for Chase, he's having technical difficulties getting on right now. But I'll read kind of what we had talked about in our private chat. But he just put, I think that this is where the, Raiders like fun past couple of weeks comes to an end. Like Aiden O'Connell's in for a rough day against our secondary. They play Tommy DeVito and Zach Wilson, which they don't even sound like real NFL quarterback names, especially Tommy DeVito, to be honest with you. But their defense, it just doesn't match up well against our offense. It doesn't. They don't have the guys to cover Tyreek and Jalen. Their run defense is not good. Achane is coming back healthier, which is phenomenal news. And then you look at just, again, Aiden O'Connell versus a Dolphins defense that, even though statistically, if you look at the rankings, they're not as high as I'm claiming they are. But if you've been watching the last few weeks, this Dolphins defense is coming on strong. And you and I both agree that we don't expect them to score many points, the Raiders. So you have a final score prediction of 31-13. Essentially, you and I have the same amount of point differential. We both expect the Dolphins to win by 18 points, which would be 3 scores. I just have the Dolphins scoring a little more than you do. So there you have it, guys. We'll see if we can get Chase on here to finish off the podcast nice and strong together. But yeah, I really don't think there's going to be anything crazy to talk about any more than that. This is a Raiders team that, look, I'm happy for them. I'm happy they no longer have to, deal with a Belichick disciple, because we've seen that as Dolphin fans, what that's like. So I'm happy for them. But again, let's be real here. Dolphins off the bye week with the talent we got versus a Raiders team led by Aiden O'Connell playing on the road. They're 1-4 on the road. So again, I just look at this and I go, it's a bad matchup for the Raiders. I expect the Dolphins to start strong. And again, we got 5 games coming up, including this Raiders game, where if we can win all of them, we play the Jets twice. So we play the Raiders, the Jets twice, the Commanders, and the Titans. Okay, those are all games you should win. I don't care where they're played. You can play them on the moon. You should win all 5 of those games. Control what you can control. Stay healthy. Keep Tua healthy. Win those 5 games. Whatever happens, happens. But hey, you win those 5 games, there's a strong chance that you are going to secure a home playoff game, which, come on, Dolphin fans, like, how amazing would that be? To have a home playoff game, like, man, I mean, I just get goosies just thinking about it. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, we'll talk to you guys next time on Monday about the outcome of this game. And then Tuesday, we got Hard Knocks in season for the Miami Dolphins coming. So be sure to check that out. Again, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below your thoughts on the game. We always love hearing from you guys, and have a great rest of your weekend. All right. We'll see you next time. Fins up.